Hi, welcome to Dunrovin Ranch in lovely Lola, Montana. As you can see, I've chickened out today and we're in the ranch office. It's a very non-balmy 2 or 3 or 4 degrees out there, and I decided that I would come in here and teach you some more information that I have about hay from the comfort of our ranch office. I've prepared lots of slides for you, and we will talk about hay. What else can I say about today? James Wassom's here with me, by the way. He's over there. He's making us look good. Howdy, and sound good. So without further ado, we're going to start with some slides for you. And the first one I've got is actually, it seems simple. It's hay growing in a field. I can identify with a lot of people who don't know much about hay because I didn't know anything about hay before I started haying property. So hay looks like a field with nothing going on in it, and hay is basically a kind of a general term for dried grass and dried legumes, and it's the #1 feed for livestock and rabbits and things like that, deer. So these huge fields of hay usually contain either alfalfa, orchard grass, timothy grass. Boy, it depends what part of the world you're in. There's a grain hay called oat hay, which we always fed out in California. There's Bermuda grass, fescue, clover, pretty much anything you can imagine. Some of it's not necessarily good for horses. Some of it is. Fescue can carry endocytes, which could kill a horse. You don't want too much clover either, especially red clover, I believe. There's a lot to know. Certain weeds are extremely toxic. So you really have to know what you're feeding and where it comes from and how reputable your hay guy is. A lot of people think you just feed your horse whatever. I've caught people throwing, over in our winter pasture, throwing grass clippings over the fence. And he thought he was doing a good thing, and I said, you know, this could kill him real fast. High in sugar, they'll gulp it down. They can colic very easily. So hay is just dried grass from out in the field. So, and then when you buy your hay, you buy it in bales. Normally, we buy our hay in bales, and it comes in, we call them a square bale. They are anywhere from 50 pounds to 120, 125 pounds, depending on the baler that your hay guy, and hay guy is the word, we all have a hay guy. I don't know what else to call them, but they're hay guys. You know, you have a truck guy and a car guy and, you know, the guy that works on this and that. Well, we have hay guys. So we get our hay in bales, and we get an alfalfa grass mixture, or we get a grass mix, which is timothy, orchard, maybe some brome even. Hay also comes in round bales. Round bales are good for feeding large groups of livestock whose intake you don't need to monitor. It's also good for feeding if you don't want to go out there and feed them every day. So round bales come in, you can put them in what we call a covered round feeder, which is the next slide. This will help protect it a little bit from weather, and they come in metal, aluminum, plastic. You can make your own, all kinds. The top will come off here, and what you do with the forks on your tractor is you pick it up and you dump it into the feeder. And they come, the next slide, they come uncovered in various sizes, shapes, and colors. The cattle guy next door, I think he has round feeders, but he has I think he chops his hay, chops his grass, most of it I believe, and dumps it in there. I think you'll all know better than me because you watch him feed those cattle. And I have some close-up pictures so you can see the difference in the hays. Color can make a difference, but not usually. Alfalfa hay, We'll talk about first cutting right now. So there's first cutting, which is the first hay of the season. Then you have a second cutting. Often a third cutting, but that's kind of pushing it usually because you're getting it late in the season. And there can be other cuttings after that, depending on how it's grown, where it's grown, the type of grass, etc. So alfalfa hay is higher in protein, higher in calcium than the grass hay. It's a legume. It's also higher in a certain kind of sugar, which some people will tell you that alfalfa is bad for every horse under every circumstance. Some people will say you can feed every horse alfalfa and it doesn't matter. It depends on your experience, and it depends on the horses you've had to care for. Based on my wide variety of horses and ponies, I'd say it all depends. It all depends. If your horse needs a lot of energy, if they're a hard worker and they don't have issues with sugar, then I think alfalfa is fine mixed with something else. I like to think of feeding horses like you're giving them a salad. A little of this, a little of that, a little something else, and then they get a wide range of vitamins and minerals. First cutting hay of any kind is the most nutrient dense because it's just growing, right? All the nutrients, it's working really hard to get to grow, and it's a very it's high in everything it's going to have, pretty much. It can also be a little bit stemmy, as the later cuttings will be coarser also. Alfalfa first cutting is coarse for some reason. It grows really fast and it needs those stems. Bonnie and Clyde have to have soft hay. That's why we give them a grass mix. You can see from the photos that grass is a lot softer. It's easier to chew, easier to swallow. You can also get hay in what are called compressed bales. And compressed bales are smaller. Smaller, but it's still a bale of hay. It's probably a 75 pound bale of hay in a much smaller size. The Stanley Company, who at this point has to be in control of everything out there because Stanley makes everything. They claim that this is easier to chew and easier to digest, and in fact, it's not nearly as coarse as getting a bale of hay. And you'd think it'd be the same thing. Doc wouldn't touch it. Other horses will just wolf it down. If you're going to travel with hay, it takes up less space. You can see it's in plastic if it needs to be stored for a longer period of time. Hay or forage also comes in cubes and pellets, and this is mostly for convenience. It's more expensive to buy 75 pounds of hay in a cube or a pellet because of the processing, but if you need to travel, it's good to have. If you need to mix some nasty tasting medicine or supplement into it, you soak your pellets or your cubes and it mixes it up like a little soup. Some people will feed cubes without getting them wet. I've had a horse choke. I mean, didn't die, but horses choke, and because they tried to swallow the whole cube at one time, it didn't quite go down. Some people say you can't give pellets dry either, even though they're smaller, and the reason is that when you swallow cubes or pellets, they absorb the water in your stomach and your intestine and blows up. So I soak everything no matter what. It doesn't hurt at all. Sometimes I'll feed pellets, a coffee can or so, a few pounds of pellets, and I'll fill water in the bucket to an inch or two above the pellets. Bonnie loves that. She puts her nose in there, and that way she's getting water at the same time and getting more hydration also. So I thought I would show you what we feed the pasture right now and what we're going to feed everyone during the season. So we throw the pellets out in the pasture, and what those are, I'm out of order. Let me go back. I'm okay. This is LMF. This is a very good mineral supplement. This is what we feed the horses here during the season. Pound for pound, it's the most efficient pellet that I've been able to find. It's very, very high quality. And I brought the analysis up here for you to see, even though I don't expect you to read it all. You can see that all the things we have to pay attention to when we feed our horses. Protein, calcium, fiber, phosphorus. There's a perfect calcium-phosphorus ratio, which is often 2 to 1. You have to watch the selenium. Out here you need to supplement with selenium. In Western Washington, no, you couldn't add selenium to anything because the soil was so rich in it. Copper, you can see all of these things are really important. It really matters. When I go shopping for a supplement, I have to look at all the labels. You can see the protein content of this is really high. Our horses work awfully hard and they need that to stay healthy. So the next slide are the packer cubes. That's what we throw out in the winter pasture. And they are, we throw out there for fiber and for protein. And this is, we throw a bag of those about every week and a half, hopefully. It also, we throw them out in the snow and the horses walk and dig for them, and it keeps them occupied and it keeps food in their bodies throughout the cold nights. The picture I have for you, those are actually alfalfa cubes, but that's the closest I could find to the Purina Packer cube. The Packer cubes are about half that size. More of a light brown color, but as you can see, the horses love them. Monty especially, I know you've seen him literally run next to the truck. But last time I was out there, I tried to reach my hand out and pet him while he was running, knowing that that could have ended very badly, but it went all right. And the cubes have their own analysis as well. And then the next thing you always see out with the horses is salt. Now, when you feed the LMF pellets, they need to have iodized salt available, which are the red blocks that you see out there. And then we have a plain salt out there as well. The horse has their choice whether they need the iodine or not. Right now in the winter, they're going crazy over the white salt, all the animals up here and the ones in the pasture. You can't see, but on the other side of the haystack, I've got I think 3 iodized blocks and 4 plain salt blocks, and they're going through the white like crazy. It's good. They need it, obviously, and it keeps them drinking. Colic in the winter is a concern. They become dehydrated, and then they get an impaction colic, which we don't ever want to live through. And there's another supplement you can get. So you can spend every dime you've got on horses, and we do. There's Sweet Licks are these, and we've seen these around here before, and we still have the tubs which come in handy. Now these are minerals. There's many different kinds. There's minerals with probiotics. There's various combinations of minerals. There's fiber in them. You can get them with joint supplements in them. And not always, but often they have molasses in them to make them palatable for the horses. And I have one more slide for you, just to show you the variety of things that can be in a, in the generic term is a salt block. A blue block has manganese cobalt in it, I believe. And then there are green blocks that I think have extra selenium, which the cattle need, or they can abort actually. So you could go crazy figuring out what your horse needs. Or you can ask someone who knows. You could trial and error, and everyone will tell you something completely different. 2 vets will tell you different things, and you have to do your own research and go with your experience. That is our feeding protocol for the winter and for the upcoming season. If you have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat, and James will. He's not even talking to my ear today. That's how much we don't get along anymore.
No, you get to hear me talk today.
Oh, I get to hear him talk today.
Like everybody hears me talk.
I know, that's James Wassam, everybody.
That's right.
I called you long-suffering Wassam.
Yeah, that's working out.
It's working out. So
I do have a question.
Okay.
Actually. So we've got our iodized salt and our plain salt.
Mm-hmm.
And you put them out, and I've seen them around in different configurations. How, I mean, I don't even know if I should have iodized salt or non-iodized salt. How does a horse or a cow or anything figure this out?
They have a much better survival instinct, I think, than we do, and they know. I've said this a million times, they're so much smarter than we are. They know exactly what they need. If they don't need iodine, they won't lick that salt block.
Wow.
Yeah, we've done, let's see who of us can remember what it's called. Pharmazoagacy. You all know what that is. It's where animals choose what they need, and we can do this again and show Wasm. We can all teach Wasm. We have a lot of dried minerals and flowers in the back, and you put them out in bowls, and the horse will go. For instance, I did it with Doc. He scarfed the, what did he scarf? There's one of them, he just ate the whole bowl.
Wow. And
then he didn't touch the chamomile, but he didn't touch something else. And so yeah, they know exactly what they need.
My wife says I need pie then.
You need pie? Pie. Oh, we're all obsessed with cupcakes now, by the way, aren't we? Yeah. So
there was a comment about compressed bales overseas on large vessels and things like that. I mean, to save space.
That makes sense.
When you were preparing to pack a trailer.
I was going to have compressed hay. That's right. That's right.
Now, Bobcat Gal is talking about something about thinner dehydrated alfalfa pellets or dehy protein. Is
I don't know about
that.
that.
To what you have in your packer pellets?
It could be. I know she's probably talking. That's probably more of a cattle thing because I've never heard of that.
Okay.
Bobcat works with cattle. She's with the USDA, I think. She inspects. Aren't you, Bobcat? Aren't you an inspector with the USDA? I think so. There's a million different things you can do. What's really fun is if you ever have nothing to do, get someone to drive you to a feed store and walk down the aisles. Walk down the equine aisle first. You don't even know what to buy, and it's practically all the same anyway. It'll blow your mind. Do I get the high performance? Do I get the medium performance? Oh no, is my horse in hard work or is he not doing much? Oh no, does he need this? And it's all advertising. It's made to drive you insane. So you need to really, I've learned to like what I like and focus on that part of the aisle because you can go nuts.
Yeah, it reminds me of walking into GNC and seeing the bodybuilders and the milkshakes. I'm like, I just want a protein shake,
Do you buy, if you knew Wasm, he needs a protein.
I do.
You need or more pie.
Or more.
He needs alpha. This is how I'm going to describe Wasm to you. If he was a horse, he needs lots of alfalfa.
Would that give me a longer face?
It'll get you a longer face. You'd be a little hoarse. I wouldn't be able to understand you too much. Ha ha, we should never get together.
Yeah,
so anyway, so that's all I can tell you about that. And actually Paula went out to throw lunch for me. And if there's no other questions, I'm going to throw this back to the ranch camp and let's see how Paula's doing. Thanks all for coming. It's Tuesday. I will see you on Thursday. And guess what? Thursday is Kelly puts the donkeys in a trailer. We'll see how that'll go. We can take bets if you want. Suzanne says not a problem. Taryn said that she and Danielle had to pick Gertie up and put her in the trailer. I will be alone out there. So I will get my best donkey whispering persona on. And I'm going to imagine that they're Augie. Going to walk right in there like it's nobody's business. I may or may not have carrots in every pocket I've got on me. We will see how that goes. I hope you join me because I'm going to need your encouragement. I'm sure of it. I can't get the trailer in the arena, so we might have to do it out in the driveway. That's all I've got for you. Thanks a lot for joining me. I'll see you on Thursday at 2 o'clock. See you later.